Hi, welcome back to Daydreams of Quilts on YouTube. Today I am going to do a quick little video on how to sew Y seams in quilting. Sometimes people think these are tricky or hard to do, and they're actually not very hard. So I want to show you so you can open up a whole new world of sewing hexagons in your patchwork. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I've cut out a bunch of hexagons. If you buy a honeycomb pack from Moda, they come with a little plastic template in them, and that's what I use to cut mine. But you could also use any other hexagon template. You can cut hexagons with this. So that's what I would use for when I want to make big 8-inch hexagons. I use that ruler. These ones are about 5 or 6 inches, I think. So I've just laid them out how I think I'm going to sew them together. And the first thing I'm going to do is sew them together in vertical rows, just along each seam here. But the thing to remember is you don't sew all the way to the end. You're going to start 1/4 of an inch in and sew and stop 1/4 of an inch from the end on all of the seams. So I'm going to go sew this so I can show it to you. Okay, so here is the first seam, and I did a little back stitch here and a little back stitch here, but I didn't sew all the way to the end. And normally when I'm quilting, I press all my seams as I go, but when I'm doing hexagon patchwork, I don't press them. I press everything at the end because it's easier to put this part here, which this will be the Y seam. That's why it's called a Y seam. It makes a Y shape. It's easier to manipulate your fabrics when you haven't pressed the seams. So I'm going to sew a couple of rows together, and then I'll show you how to put them together side by side. Okay, so these two are sewn together. So now I'm going to want to sew like this. So I'm going to flip this over so that this seam here is lined up, and I'm not going to worry about anything else right now. This is sticking off to the side, that's fine. We're just worried about this seam. So now I want to sew this part. So I'm going to sew from a quarter inch in all the way down and stop 1/4 inch from the end again. Okay, so here it is. Now I want to sew this seam. So I'm going to just flip this side down onto here, and now this is going out this way, and I'm just worrying about the current seam, not anything else. So to make this work, I have pushed this red fabric sort of like folded in half and pushed up into the seam allowance. Can you see that? So I'm going to start 1/4 inch in, so I'm not really catching this red fabric. I'm just starting right here and sewing 1/4 inch down to here, and I'm stopping. This one's easier because it's already showing me where I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop 1/4 inch from the end, and here the yellow can also be folded back to the seam allowance so that I'm not really catching it in the seam. Okay, it's also this one. Okay, so you can see I've got this red is folded, and I've sewn 1/4 inch from the end to 1/4 inch from the end, and I just took a little 1 or 2 back stitch. Okay, so now I want to do the yellow to the orange here. So I'm just going to flip the yellow onto the orange, and now it's the orange fabric that I just sewed that is getting folded and moved out of the way into the seam allowance. And I'm just going to sew from right here, 1/4 inch from the end down and stopping 1/4 inch, so I'm not hitting this green fabric that's underneath. I'm just going to stop 1/4 inch from the end. Okay, so there's my yellow seam, or my yellow fabric with the seam. So now I want to sew yellow to green, so I'm going to flip it onto the green. And now the orange one is getting folded in half in the seam allowance so that it's out of the way. And you just keep going all the way down the row like that. So I'm going to sew from here to here. Okay, and then now I want to sew the mustard green to this light green. So I'm flipping it this way. So basically each way you're going to be going this way, and then you're going to be going that way and this way and that way all the way down. This excess is going to be pointing in either direction. And you just pick it up, and this almost folds itself to get out of the way. And then again, starting right here and sewing down and stopping before I hit this navy blue, stopping a 1/4 inch from the end. Okay, and now I want to sew the second mustard green seam or side down onto this navy blue. So I just flipped it over, and now this excess is going that direction. You don't even need to worry about that. Just focus on the one seam at a time and everything will be fine. So there we go. And I'm almost finished. Okay, so there's my first 2 rows sewn together. And that took me like not even 10 minutes, even with stopping to explain it and make a video. It didn't take me very long. So I've just left them all unpressed, and I'm just going to leave it that way until I get through all of this. And then when I go to press, I just sort of let the iron push them the way they want to fall. So whichever way it looks like they want to fall is how I press down with my iron. This blue one looks like it wants to go up, and then this mustard wants to come over. So that's how I press it at the end when it's all put together. So there you go. This is not too hard at all. Okay, so I hope that helped you. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment down below. I will put a link in the video description below for a blog post that I've done about making a hexagon pillow cover, and it has step-by-step photos in it as well as written instructions. So that, in addition to this video, might help you as well. So don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to get notified when I post another video. Happy quilting!